sometimes you can be waiting half an hour for a wrestling news to come along, and then all of a sudden 3 come along at once.
It's been crazy, hasn't it?
It's been ridiculous.
It's been crazy, Tom.
Ridiculous times.
Crazy.
Crazy with a capital Razy. You've no doubt seen videos already about CM Punk, stuff about Daniel Bryan in AEW, more on that later, but there's more. Even more, Jack.
More wrestling news.
Wrestling news.
Also, I'm back. It's great to be back in the office.
Oh, it's your first one, isn't it? It's your first one back in the office. Is it nice that we get to sit together again?
I'm so hot and sweaty. I feel like I should apologise to you for how hot and sweaty I am.
It's all right, matey. I'm hot and sweaty just being near you. Wrestling news. Several surprise debuts went down at Fyter Fest Night 2 last night. We have a date set for Cody Rhodes versus Malachi Black. And Samoa Joe is getting back in the ring for a title match. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Notable return to the news desk in Jack King. Welcome back, Jack.
Thank you.
Feel like we should have made more of a fuss of your first news back. Bring in the mariachi band! But loads went down on the telly last night. If you weren't watching those 4 hours of Judge Judy, you were probably watching AEW Fyter Fest Night 2. Jack, you were live, weren't you?
I was.
What's going on?
My body clock is backwards. Since Money in the Bank, I am attempting to fix it today. It was mad, Tom. It was crazy. There were several debuts, several first appearances in AEW. Some of them not the typical sort of people you'd expect to see in AEW. The first, Nick Gage. Nick Gage.
Nick effing Gage.
Gang affiliated, MDK and all that. He's got lots of catchphrases. He was brought out on stage by MJF following the first Labour of Jericho, where Chris Jericho took on Shawn Spears, but only Spears was allowed to use chairs. But Jericho won anyway, and then MJF was livid and said, right, next week, in your second Labour of Jericho, you'll be having a no DQ match against a man who's robbed a bank without a mask. And watching it, I was like, no way.
So he hasn't robbed a bank during COVID, then?
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
And he brought out Nick Gage, and he was there on stage with Jericho, with MJF, apologies, but he'll be facing Jericho next week. I suspect, and this is just a guess, that Nick Gage will lose because Jericho has to win all these matches to get that match with MJF. But I think also that Nick Gage will probably do, you know, like when Austin's the special referee and he just attacks both afterwards. I think Nick Gage will batter MJF after the match.
Yeah, he's got no horse in this race, hasn't he? So he's just there to have a hardcore match and then beat up whoever. He's had a little bit of back and forth with like the likes of Moxley. There's been some teasing with him and Omega lately as well. So this could be the beginning of some really exciting things with Nick Gage, the GCW champion. I think he's defending it against Matt Cardona on Saturday at Homecoming. I think that's the thing that's happening. So this could be the start of like more forbidden doors being swung open in wrestling.
Left, right and centre.
Left, right and centre.
Like an episode of Scooby-Doo. Also, you know when I described this as, you know when you see like well, this is quite familiar actually during lockdown times. You know when you see an older relative who you've not seen for quite some time,
like Andy Belinda.
Yes, and then after they've gone, your mum goes, they're looking well.
Oh,
they're looking well.
You're thinking when they've gone, you slag them off.
No, like someone will say, oh, they're looking well. Well, this is how I felt when the next person turned up, because Andrade El Idolo came out for an interview with Tony Schiavone, but he said, Tony, before this interview, please announce this. And he gave him a piece of paper, and Tony is brilliant at reactions. So he just was like, what? Really? And then he read out and introduced the new, the new executive consultant for Andrade, Chavo Guerrero. And then Chavo came out, and he was looking well. He was looking lovely, bit of a tan, lovely all black suit. He was looking great. He's going to be his manager, effectively, it seems, his heel manager. But he wasn't playing it totally heel. He was trying to be a bit respectful, but he was sowing the sneaky seeds, as the Guerreros do. Yeah,
they were trying to tease stuff with like breaking up Death Triangle, weren't they?
Essentially, yes. Death Triangle came out, and Chavo and Andrade, both of them, basically insinuated, why are you, the Lucha Bros, working for Pac? And then Pac went, hey man, you don't even work for me, we're a family mate.
To be honest, on any night out, you always gravitate towards a Geordie anyway, so it's pretty in keeping.
So yeah, that's going to be really interesting. It seemed, this is just a guess again, but it seemed from the layout of the segment that they're going to build towards Pac versus Andrade. But as you mentioned, there could well be a turn where the Lucha Bros turn on Pac. At one stage, they both stood slightly ahead of him on the ramp, and I was waiting for that double super kick, but it didn't happen. So I don't quite know if that's just me reading too much into it. But
no, I reckon that was what I love is they're very good at those moments where they kind of just put something there, and if you spot it, it's like a little Easter egg, and if you don't, it doesn't really affect anything. But if you see it, you get it's like a little. So you spotted it, and I liked it a lot.
Absolutely.
I liked it a lot. New Japan face popping up at the end of the night as well, because the hits just keep on coming.
A very tall, big face in the form of Hiki Leo of New Japan, and of course the Bullet Club. He's part of a wrestling family. He's the son of Haku and the brother of Tamatonga, and he was there in the crowd to watch the main event, which we'll talk about a little bit more in a sec. The IWGP US title match between Jon Moxley and Lance Archer, and then after the match, he got in the ring and had a stare down with the winner, because he's going to face them next week, I believe. So that's going to be very interesting indeed.
Hiki Leo, like, he's the one guy on the. He's massive enough as it is, but he's genuinely the one guy on the planet where, if in school he said, "My dad's harder than your dad," he's right. He's absolutely right, and he's massive. Like, I think we knew he was a tall boy, but then he stands next to Lance Archer. Like, whoa, he's massive.
That's a good way of moving on to the next bit, because I deliberately didn't say who won, but we're going to talk about it anyway, so we can't.
What? Lance Archer won?
Lance Archer won.
What?
It was a big Texas-themed main event. It was in Texas. Lance Archer is a Texan, and it was a Texas death match, and Lance Archer won the IWGP US title from Jon Moxley. It was a New Japan title change on AEW. The Forbidden Door's it's gone.
You let him the forbidden knee. Just clipping the forbidden table.
Too excited there. So that's really interesting news as well. Also, and this might just be me running wild a little bit with my imagination and my fantasy booking in my head, but Hiki Leo is in the original Bullet Club, and there's a group of chaps in AEW who really annoyed the original Bullet Club when they split off from them, the Elite. So, I mean, it could be the first little seedling of a much bigger thing, but I don't know. And if that were to happen, I'd suspect it'd be somewhere much further down the line.
Oh, so potentially some sort of Bullet Club wars. Maybe they have a Bullet Club Hollywood and a Bullet Club Wolfpack.
Yes.
And they can have a match and do a finger poke. It's fine. It's going to be fine. So loads going down on AEW Fyter Fest Night 2 last night. Full results at cultaholic.com if you want to know a little bit more on that. But it's just they very much set the industry talking in the last 12 plus hours with everything else that's gone on. All that happened as well.
It was a very jam-packed show.
It was. And next week continues to be so. As we've already said, for next week we're going to see a US title match. The IWGP US title defended, but then looking further ahead for AEW Homecoming, we're getting Cody Rhodes versus Malachi Black. That was announced last night.
It was, and it was a surprising one because I think everybody expected them to save that for a pay-per-view. It's a huge match. It's two of the biggest names they've got. Aleister Black, Malachi Black, just coming off the back of his WWE run, Cody, of course. But no, it's going to be on free TV, which Cody then emphasised on Twitter, saying, yes, it will be on free TV. And he's very proud of that, apparently. So I think that could be really, really good.
Are they doing this too soon?
Maybe, but if Malachi Black wins, then he can go on a bit of a tear, in my opinion.
And Cody Rhodes can come back and save the day.
No, I don't.
No. Start the show. I got a new tattoo coming to fight you.
Oh right,
that's a Cody Rhodes thing, isn't it? He'll get battered by Black. He'll disappear for a bit, and then he'll come out looking all mean, going, "I'm going to beat you again."
I think he needs to lose to Malachi Black, and then that's it. And then Malachi Black can be in another feud with someone else for a bit. I think. Yeah. I would like it if Cody this one time didn't save the day, maybe.
Saving the day in the end. I'll be back by Christmas Eve. Finalement, there's a big return on the horizon for a star in WWE. Now, a guy who was let go from the company, to which Triple H then went, "What are you doing? Get in here!
Yes.
Get in here! Get in from the cold." Samoa Joe. We've talked about this before. Samoa Joe has said absolutely he's getting in the ring, but I don't think we're expecting it to be in the ring with such high stakes.
No, yeah, according to Dave Meltzer on Twitter, he said that the match is set, the NXT title match, in fact, for the next TakeOver, which is the day after SummerSlam, because SummerSlam's on a Saturday this year, and then I think they've penciled in the NXT TakeOver for the Sunday. And it's going to be Samoa Joe versus Karrion Kross, apparently, which is huge for Samoa Joe's return match. Fittingly huge, I think it's fair to say that.
They've teased this one quite nicely. I thought the semantic stuff they did on NXT was quite funny. There's been some funny little developments with that at the NXT last 2 weeks. The 2 weeks of NXT they taped last night, which we will talk about in the next news video, as well as this this other big return for NXT. We'll talk about that in the next news video very soon. So I'm aware that where we're going on a little bit long. But Joe and Cross, do you take the belt off Cross to put him on the main roster,
right,
and then have Joe as champ, or do you have the belt come off Cross before they meet?
If that would be interesting as well, and that would be quite an NXT twist. They like to do that sometimes, just defy all expectations. If you'd asked me that a few days ago, I'd have said, no, keep the belt on Karrion Kross. He's, at the minute, he's pristine, he's undamaged, he's fine. Then
he's cross.
On Raw, Jeff Hardy made him very cross indeed, with a lightning-fast roll-up victory, with the feet on the ropes, Tom.
Oh.
With the feet on the... There's no way Karrion Kross should have lost that match. I don't know what they're doing. That's just my opinion.
I think lose here. I think lose the belt before he faces Joe.
Oh.
I think then have Cross. Like, this is the thing, right? This can be recovered. The Cross thing can be recovered if you have him lose the belt and then go on to Raw and just obliterate Jeff Hardy.
I mean,
just destroy him. Throw him through many windows. Push him into a ravine. Set his trousers on fire.
Many forbidden doors thrown through.
All the forbidden. Oh, don't careful! Not that forbidden door. Oh no! Here I come to the show. Gonna stop the baddies now. Wrong door. More news later. Nice to have you back on the desk.
It's lovely to be back as well.
Honour and a privilege. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.